This is Unscrupled, covering Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Season 1, Episodes 11 and 12. In these episodes, Cordelia's all over the map, and there's a hentai monster coming after them in the library. Welcome to Unscrupled.
Forgot about the hentai monster.
It was a giant, the nightmare penis of everyone's terrible dreams. There were three of them, and they had extra tentacles, and they were teeth, and they were drooling all over the place, and it was just gross. Guys, I have not seen this before. My name is Money. And
my name is Bitches.
And yeah, Bitches has seen this many, many times. I have not. And you are feeling like the real reactions of someone watching Buffy for the first time. And in the intro, I forgot. What are these episodes called?
Okay, the first one is called Out of Mind, Out of Sight.
Okay.
And the second one is called Prophecy Girl. And the second one is the finale for the season.
Yeah, So yeah, these were really packed episodes, and there was a lot of tonal dissonance.
With each other or just with you?
Just with this show.
Yeah.
So I guess we should just dive in. How do we dive in without breaking our face on the tentacle monster's giant drooling penis?
Well, my shows kind of just ignore the tentacle monster because as far as I'm concerned, that's just, it's not a character, it's obstacle.
Okay.
Like if she had to hop over a fence, it would be the same thing, only this one is more tentacly.
Okay. But let's start with the Clea DuVall episode. And it's,
Yay!
Can I say, that is a really criminally
underuse of that
underuse of Clea DuVall, which I tried to think, because I think I am the kind of person who will rent a stupid fucking movie just because Clea DuVall is in it. I watched all of Carnival, and Carnival was amazing, but it's the reason I picked it up was because it had Clea DuVall.
Clea DuVall in it. Yes, I absolutely agree. She is a fantastic actress. One of my first experiences with her was, but I'm a cheerleader. And I have not masturbated to that movie, though I've wanted to. She's just a fantastic actress. And when you were about to say it, I'm thinking, if he doesn't use the word criminal, I'm going to fly to San Francisco and beat him with my shoe. But you did because we're friends, and I love you.
Yeah, she was in The Grudge, too, so...
I have not seen The Grudge because I don't watch scary movies.
It has Sarah Michelle Gellar and Clea DuVall in it, and you haven't seen it.
Well, maybe they became besties during this episode, and one of them got the other one the gig.
Okay. It was clearly Sarah Michelle Gellar who got...
Clea DuVall the gig.
Yeah, because that movie was a vehicle for Sarah Michelle Gellar.
And where did it take her?
Off a balcony.
Yeah, I was going to say, did it take her to or from Cruel Intentions?
From Cruel Intentions, so.
Oh, you mean that Cruel Intentions was the apex of her movie career?
Yeah, well, The Grudge, you're forgetting that in the early aughts there was this kind of, Western remakes of Japanese horror that The Ring kind of kicked off. So they brought in The Grudge, and then there was Dark Water, which all were really super creepy, dark, atmospheric movies, but just didn't understand what made them work in Japan and couldn't translate that right.
Well, translating from Japanese is very difficult.
It really is. So, Clea DuVall. Clea
Clea
DuVall
DuVall.
is invisible, and I could not get a handle on her motivations, nor could I get a handle on Cordelia's. And this is this is 2 episodes where Cordelia is really like right in the thick of it. We've had quite a few episodes where she's just not even there, and I'm wondering, why are you in the main cast? Why is your name in the scroll when we're listening to that stupid guitar riff?
Because her name is Charisma, and that's amazing.
Your name is a D&D stat. I'm gonna name my kid Dexterity.
Oh man, I'm sure that's happened. I'm gonna look that up right now. Child named Dexterity.
But then we just call him Dexter. So.
That's fine. It's like, no, use your full name, darling.
Okay. Where were we? Clea DuVall. We keep getting
yes.
off. So this
How do we not get off Clea DuVall? Just saying.
This episode opens with Cordelia in class, and so we have our first speaking role for a person of color. I guess you could count the bouncer from the very first pair of episodes, but all he does is say, "Hey, what are you doing, man?" "Oh, I'm dead." So I don't think that really counts.
Okay, I guess you're the arbiter of what counts for people of color now.
He didn't even have a name.
This is true. But does this person have a name?
This person is Mrs. Miller.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, so they're reading, and Cordelia raises her hand, and I thought we were going to get like, oh, we're going to peel back the layers on Cordelia, and she actually gives a shit about her schoolwork and has important things to say, and no, it's just totally fucking self-centered and weird, and why are you, like, she says, well, get over yourself, and I'm like, okay, please tell me you're going to say something really subversive here. No, she's going to say, everything's about me, 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 me. I ran over a girl and she was whining about her leg, and I'm like, that is so over the top. How is this a possibility?
Yeah. They're trying to give her some place to come from, maybe. Who's to say?
And then she says that her final paper she's having trouble with, so she needs to meet with Miss Miller during office hours.
Because, high schools have office hours. Mine didn't.
Mine did.
Yeah, but you went to a fancy private military school that had, like, teachers who were paid to give a shit.
Oh, they were not paid very well. Trust me on this one.
Oh, wow.
They were paid. I think someone found a document that should have been shredded, and the headmaster and the dean got paid a lot, but entry level teachers were paid, I think, in $1997, $17,000 a year.
Oh my God, that's nothing. Holy crap! Even back then, when that's like what I make now. Wow, that's and I'm sure they took it out on you.
Oh no, they didn't really. It's just. Do not think just because a lot of money is being paid in tuition that it's going to the teachers.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. Good to know.
The coaches were paid a lot, even though they never won a game in their lives.
Oh, the thing about coaches, man, that pisses me off.
The chaplain was paid a shitload of money too. I was furious about that when I found out.
Whoa. Why?
Because this is the hierarchy of how things work. You teach the Scarlet Letter to freshman kids who don't give a shit. You get paid shit. If you tell them that they're going to die if they ever partake of the pussy, you get paid $100,000 a year.
Oh man. I hurt inside. I hurt inside for our nation's youth. Okay, let's go back to Clea DuVall, please.
Okay. So the thing here is for Clea DuVall, like, neither Cordelia nor Clea DuVall have a real sane character arc in this, because it bugged the shit out of me when, like, I've mentioned this before, and there's like the sociopathy of the mean girl, and we've all seen Mean Girls, right, listeners? If you haven't seen Mean Girls, go see it.
Yeah, stop the podcast, pull over your car, bring it up on Netflix on your phone, and use all your data for the month if you have to. But seriously, go and see Mean Girls right now.
And what's the main Mean Girl's name?
Oh, God, what is her name? I'm still thinking about Buffy. I can't.
Okay. Whatever.
I'll look it up, you vamp.
Okay, so this main mean girl is, like, the thing about being a mean kid in high school is that you need to have that kind of sociopathy that can kind of zero in on the weak people, and kind of give them basically gaslight them and give them an abusive relationship. Like, you'll be super cruel to them, and then you'll kind of draw them in and say everything's forgiven, maybe everything's turning over a new leaf, and that just makes it hurt even more when you dash their brains across the rocks. And what the main mean girl had, and what I don't know if it was intentional or not, is she was not as pretty as the other two in her clique, but she was capable of controlling them.
Regina, that was the main one.
Regina
George? Yeah, I think Regina George.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Regina, Gretchen, and what was the dumb one named?
I just know her as Amanda Seyfried because she's one of those women who's a fantastic actress and can play a broad range, but she's so fucking pretty that they keep sticking her in roles with nothing to do.
Yeah, Karen. Yeah, that's the third one's name, the dumb one, Karen.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's in a lot of things as the dumb girl, and it makes me so sad because she's yeah.
She's totally, like, I never saw Jennifer's Body, but I saw the previews, and she's clearly capable of playing that kind of quirky, funny, nerdy girl.
Mm-hmm.
But she just doesn't get enough of those roles. But anyway, the point I'm getting at is that they can't really decide what kind of popular girl Cordelia is supposed to be. Like, it's one thing that those of us who were picked on in high school need to look back and see is that the people who beat us up, like, there were the ones who were trash heaps, but then there were the popular kids who actually did really well in school and took shit seriously.
Yeah.
And they kind of can't decide because in the first episode, like, she's not paying attention in computer class and she doesn't know what she's doing and she destroys everything. But here she seems to be on her game and has stupid ideas, but at least is, we all had stupid ideas in high school.
But at least she read the play.
Exactly. So, and
this is not Spark Notes.
It can't decide if she's needing other people's attention and that's why she puts other people down, or that she genuinely enjoys pulling people in and destroying them like a true sociopath. It just sort of vibrates all over the place, and I feel like Cordelia is just like a trash heap of every girl that some writer hated in high school, and it's not very well thought out, and it pisses me the fuck off.
That's entirely valid. Her character will get more fleshed out in the future.
Okay, that's good. I'm hoping, because that's one of my big hopes for season 2, is that Cordelia really starts to nail down and get a personality and some grounding. Yeah. So
Cordy is still in the credits in the second season. I'll give you that.
Okay. Now, but that means we are left with what was her something Ross, Maisie Ross, Marcie Ross.
Marcie, Maisie, something. I don't know. See, even I didn't notice her.
I noticed her. Like,
even though she was Marcie. Even though she's Clea DuVall.
We saw Mitch get his ass beat by the floating baseball bat in the locker room. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that was an immaculately clean locker room. Like,
yeah, they're never that nice.
They are never, well, it's not that they were nice. It's that, like, there was the pipes were not, like, smudged.
Yeah.
With hard water stains, and there wasn't just like mold growing out anywhere, and it was, there wasn't stuff everywhere like there are in locker rooms. Like there's, threads and old clothes and shit that no one ever cleans up, and there were no garbage cans either. It was like a brand new locker room.
Okay, to be fair to California public schools, the locker room at my high school was also similarly kept. Everyone had to put their shit in their lockers, and if they didn't, the janitors just threw it the fuck away because why should you give a fuck about teenagers' possessions when they don't?
Uh-huh.
And I support that. There was no mold because we weren't allowed to take showers after gym. We had to go around sweaty all day.
Wow,
because,
really?
Yeah. In California public schools, they ended showers after gym some time ago. I don't think they've ever reinstated it because I think it was pretty much they envisioned Carrie was going to happen and, just put the kibosh on people undressing in front of each other. That's why I've always been so weird about, oh my God, we can't have trans people in the locker room because then girls might see a penis. It's like, are you kidding? We did straight up drama changes where we didn't even see each other's bras.
Yeah.
Which was good because I wasn't wearing a bra.
Yeah, there were times in middle school before I went to military school that I would put on my gym clothes by putting them on over my regular clothes and then being able to pull them off underneath.
Yeah. And every kid learns how to do it because we don't want the other kids that we have to spend time with in other classes seeing our sad prepubescent bodies. Mm-hmm. And that's standard. I mean, I had the girls that I was less afraid of that I would change near. Although freshman year of high school, when I was at my original high school, I was being blatantly and horrifically harassed by this one older girl from lockers across the way. She was creepy as shit, and she took great delight in telling me that I was a lesbian and that she had a crush on me, and when she was making fun of me, and I didn't know I was gay yet, and I thought it was bad, and why was she torturing me like this?
We're going down a dark path in this episode.
Yes, we are. But the point I'm trying to make is that no one actually. The locker rooms in California public schools are generally pretty clean because we're not allowed to have water. So that part didn't astound me, but the part that how well it was maintained did.
Okay. So Mitch gets his ass beat up by an invisible girl holding a baseball bat, and she giggles, which is why I thought when we finally do see Clea DuVall, I thought it couldn't be her because that giggle doesn't seem to fit who Clea DuVall is as a person.
Well, yeah, but she's also an actor, and I don't know if you know this, but they pretend to be different kinds of people.
Even that short scene we get with her in the bathroom didn't really give off that vibe, so...
Yeah.
But that was not the first time I saw her. It probably wasn't her, but as Buffy and Giles were sitting in the courtyard talking, there was a woman in orange who had the same haircut and was talking to a white dude and a black dude. And you can tell it's the extras doing work. She kept doing the same thing over again. She would laugh and look to one and then laugh and look at the other. And I was like, is that Clea DuVall back there? Girl, you wearing some ugly orange-ass shit. And it would not surprise me if she was actually an extra in her own fucking episode.
Aww. Well, I don't notice background stuff most of the time, so I have not.
I couldn't look away. It was orange.
It was orange. I will remember that and hit you with it at weird times. I'm just going to start wearing orange around you. I have an obnoxious orange shirt.
You're going to start eating Cheetos, and I'm just not going to stop staring at your fingertips. And I'm like, that's orange. Ew! So.
I do love me some puffy Cheetos.
All right, so the plot is that a bunch of things are happening to Cordelia's friends. Her boyfriend Mitch gets the shit beat out of him, and the makeup job on Mitch post-beat-up is terrible. He looks like a goddamn Cabbage Patch Kid.
Now I have to rewatch it just so I can see that. I'm going to go look up screen caps right now. Okay, maybe not right now, but still. Okay, so Mitch is a Cabbage Patch.
Right, and Harmony makes another appearance.
Yes, you finally know who Harmony is. This is good.
Yeah, I kind of knew it because when we were doing that game of guess the white names for the white people I made up, a lot of people guessed Harmony. So yeah, I knew she was the person.
I was a little annoyed at that, actually. It's like, guys, you can't let him know Harmony's a thing. Harmony will be a thing, but not really.
But she was a thing. She was in that episode. She just, we haven't seen her since then. And we never got a name the first time.
Yeah, it's true.
So,
well, now you know she's Harmony. And
yes.
she falls downstairs.
And she falls down the stairs. And I do not understand Invisible Girl's motivations here. Like, I'm going to fuck with Cordelia because Cordelia was mean to me. I get that. Why are you fucking with the people around her? Because she clearly doesn't care.
Because you're forgetting the cardinal rule that we learned in the movie Mean Girls. The first thing you have to do to take away their power is remove their army of skanks.
Okay. I guess so.
Yeah, you take away all of the things around them, and then they are just as ordinary as you are. So she took away hot boyfriend first. So I mean, she went out of order, but Mean Girls hadn't happened yet, so you can't blame her. And then she went for Army of Skanks, and Harmony is the main skank in that army, so she had to go down.
Was Clea DuVall in Mean Girls? That would not surprise me at all.
No, she wasn't, but now in my heart she is.
Okay. We should recast it, except they're like in their 40s and they're mean moms.
Oh, man. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're like mean dance moms.
I was thinking just like mean PTA moms or something.
Oh, yeah.
Like the background characters in Weeds.
Okay. Or just anyone from Harper Valley PTA.
Yeah.
Anyone love country music? Anyone? It's the music of pain, guys. Anyway. Okay, keep going.
So, so there's some twin accidents where Mitch gets his ass beat up. Harmony is thrown down the stairs and breaks her ankle. Cordelia is all me, 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 me. And so they decide that they're going to look and see if they can find anyone who has gone missing in the last couple months. That
seems like quite the lengthy list in Sunnydale.
It should be a lot longer, especially like they said, oh, look, the most recent one. And I'm like, wait a minute, what about poor Morgan? To my knowledge, nobody found a body. It's still sitting there under the stage.
Yes.
There was never anyone who said anything about him.
Yeah. So
And who was the dancer girl? Was it Daisy?
I don't fucking know. They're red shirts.
So she went invisible because nobody was paying attention to her, which I kind of feel for. But the biggest problem here was they're trying to step out so far on a limb to give Cordelia some meat to dig into. And she says, well, sometimes when you're popular, you feel alone. And I get that. I get that a lot. That's poignant. That's real. But it's just mixed in with this super shallow, cartoony, people aren't paying attention to me that just doesn't exist in real life.
Well, okay. Yes and no. So there was this pretty famous clip that, Jon Snow on Game of Thrones. What's the actor's name?
Kit Harington.
Thank you.
Do not spoil season 6 for me.
I'm not.
Okay.
This is completely about Kit and not about Jon Snow. But that is probably one of the hottest actors on the planet right now because he's Jon Snow, right? He was on a talk show talking about how his birthday is on Christmas, right? And how his entire life he's hated that or it's either on or right around Christmas. And he's hated that because he really loves attention. And he's talking about, and he's like kind of going on this personal journey on the talk show. He's like, yeah, and I've already really hated it because I love attention and I don't get enough attention. God, I wish my birthday was any other day because I want that attention. And then he stops and he kind of shakes his head and it's like, oh my God, I'm such an asshole. I get more attention than anyone in the world.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it's an actual thing that for some people who just love attention so much, there is no end to how much attention they want. Everyone in the entire planet and God himself could be looking at them right then and they'd still be unsatisfied.
I don't feel like that's compatible with her sentiment that people are paying attention to me, but nobody really knows me.
Of course it isn't, because the show is poorly written, because it's the first season.
And that reminds me of...
What I'm saying is that the idea that someone just can't get enough attention is not... Okay, that's totally a thing. It's a thing that happens.
Yeah, I know that's a thing that happens, because the drag queen with my second favorite name on the reunion show, his mom gets up and says he used to cry at his little brother's birthday because it wasn't about him.
Oh my god!
And that's Bob the Drag Queen, ladies and gents. So, which is my second favorite drag name. Have I told you my first?
You have, but say it again.
Karen from Finance.
Ah, it's so good. It is so good.
Oh, okay, so Cordelia really likes attention, and she digs down in the bowels of her black little heart, and God, that metaphor was terrible.
Area.
And she discovers that she needs to go to Buffy for help, because, like, Cordelia is, unlike everyone else in this fucking town, Cordelia is apparently perceptive. Even though, like, that episode ended with her like, there were gang members and Buffy knew them. And I'm like, bitch, you just saw a man with fangs the size of a goddamn Swiss Army knife drinking the blood from a black man on stage, and you were not putting together what that is. But apparently she did, and she's keeping her mouth shut about it, because...
Yeah. She didn't want anyone to know that a nerd had risen from the dead to stalk her.
And that she nearly fucked him.
She did not.
He gave her bedroom eyes, and she gave them back.
That's because he had, like, vampire hypnosis.
Okay, that's fair. So she enlists them for help and decides and there was a throwaway line. He's like, I can't wear anything off the rack. It gives me hives. I'm like, bitch, you are not that rich. All right?
She kind of is.
How is she that rich? This is Rancho Cucamonga. This is not Los Angeles.
Yeah, but it's driving distance from LA.
Okay, fine. She has a McMansion somewhere.
Yeah.
One of the cheap ones with bad stucco and...
When you want your little princess to be the big fish in a little pond, you commute.
Do you read that blog, Worst of McMansions?
No, but I want to now. That's a great idea.
I don't know if it's a man or a woman, but it's an architect but has that smarmy kind of Tumblr talk when he talks about pictures of McMansions. And it's like, one of those opening foyers that have like the staircase that curves around the curved wall. And, and he calls it the Pringles can of shame. And then, of course, there's always like a round table with a plant, and it's like in all caps, obligatory table with thing.
It's so true, though. Oh, God, it's so true. New money, man. New money.
He gets these pictures because, like, in the height of the housing boom, there were a lot of these going up in the exurbs. And people were being able to borrow a lot more money than they should have been able to. So
time out. What's an exurb? Is that like a suburb that...
It's like a suburb, but farther away.
Okay. Gotcha. The new suburbs. Gotcha.
So there were a lot of developers building these houses that were not architecturally sound, either from an aesthetic level or a structural level. Like, totally everything was about fads and what was cool right then, right? So, like, these pretty wealthy people were buying a lot more house than they could afford that quickly depreciated in value. And now a lot of them are on the market, and nobody with that kind of money wants someone else's used luxury, right? Like, I keep giving them shit about their pedestrian. Well, it's fine that they're pedestrian, but they're just ugly clothing, right?
Yes.
That was in fashion in the 90s, right? But 10 years later, you can't go back to that.
Oh.
So that's why this blog does so well and why it has so much material to go for. Because there's all these really ugly, giant-ass houses out there that are not selling.
Well, because at the time they were conspicuous consumption and they thought they would maintain value, and when the bubble burst and people realized how fucking awful they were. Okay, I've got a thing against conspicuous consumption, guys. I think it's crass and horrible and the worst of humanity. And so I studied art history, where it is rife.
So, bringing this back to the show, in our
Yes.
headcanon, Cordelia lives in one of these ugly-ass McMansions.
Oh, she lives in the biggest McMansion in Rancho Cucamonga.
Yes.
Oh my god, it's so ostentatious. Has anyone seen Drop Dead Gorgeous?
I have.
I know you have because we're friends. But okay, so it's this show about beauty queen, like a high school beauty pageant in this tiny little shit-ass town in Minnesota, and Denise Richards and a bunch of other people that later became super famous is in it. And Denise Richards' family is the richest family in town, and they have the most ostentatious fucking house possible. And that's where I think Cordelia lives. She is the Denise Richards of this show. Like, literally, I think they have the same boob job. But yeah, she just lives in this horrible, horrible, really nouveau riche bullshit McMansion house that I can picture it in my mind.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So, so the plan is that Cordelia is going to go put on her dress. And I gotta say, at least Buffy's fashion choices they're not better, but they're also not as brave.
Okay.
So, I give her a lot of shit, but at least she's trying with the Dalmatian grandma's blanket coat, right?
Yeah, she's going for quirky and fun.
But now she's just, it's very safe. It's a lot of solid colors and clean lines, which I'm all about. If you've seen my place, and it's kind of timeless, but it's not very adventurous. Whereas Cordelia, on the other hand,
really goes for it.
I can't really speak to her acting,
Mm-hmm.
but she's really well cast in that she can wear things that no one would ever consider wearing, and she has the physical presence to make it a statement thing,
Okay.
So she can get away with that, or the horrible multicolor polka dots, or the it was like a floral print black blouse she was wearing this time, because she owns it. Buffy does not, so she's going to get a lot more shit for it.
I think Buffy used to own it. I think at her last school, 'cause she talks about being May Queen and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
At her last school, she just fucking did what she did, and she focused on her popularity, and that was her thing. I think she was not quite as mean as Cordelia, but she was definitely in that league, which is why when she first came to Sunnydale, Cordelia zeroed in on her as a possible ally and member of her army of skanks.
Well, you're talking about the characters. I'm actually talking about the actresses. I don't feel that if Sarah Michelle Gellar had shown up to school with the top of her head shorn only an inch and the rest still long, anyone else would do that. If Charisma Carpenter did, everyone else would do that.
Well, Charisma is pretty stunning. I mean, she is just a beautiful woman, and there's just no getting around it. She's a regulation hottie, like top to toes, definitely.
Mm-hmm. And it's in how she bears herself. She kind of gives
got
off
so
the
much
impression
poise.
that she's a trendsetter, whereas Buffy is it just feels like she's kind of trying to fit in, not succeeding.
Yeah, but I also think that's how they're playing the character.
I hope so, because otherwise it's just poor costume choices.
Take this back to Cruel Intentions.
Uh-huh.
Sarah Michelle Gellar in that movie plays that level of bitch. That trend-setting, fashionista, fucking high school bitch from hell. And she pulls it off. I can absolutely believe that she wore those hideous outfits, because even I noticed how bad those outfits were, and just made them fucking work at her scary prep school of doom.
Okay.
So I really think it's about acting and how they're playing the characters.
Okay, that's fair. So
Okay.
the diabolical plan of Invisible Girl is they're going to kidnap Cordelia, and Buffy just is kind of collateral damage here.
Okay, time out, rewind. Before we talk about the end game on this, I want to talk about the yearbook
Uh-huh.
and how they figured out that no one actually knew this girl through the Have a Nice Summer in the yearbook. Did you buy that?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I'm kind of glad I don't have my yearbooks anymore, because I'm like, how many people said that I actually cared about?
After the last day of school, I don't think I ever opened them again. But accidentally, that's how my grandmother found out I was gay. But I digress.
Was that your yearbook quote, gay?
No, so like my senior year, I was in ROTC, and because, that's what I did as a hobby. I played pseudo-military games. And I was on a competing drill team, and it was an all-female drill team because that was our shtick. And my drill team leader was this girl named Tammy, who was absolutely gorgeous. Oh my God, I had such a crush on Tammy. But we had this joke where everyone in school knew I was quote-unquote bi, because when you're not ready to come out as gay, you come out as bi sometimes. Not saying that every bi person is secretly gay or anything like that, or that it's a stepping stone. I'm saying that it's an easy transitional word to use when you don't know what the fuck is going on, because linoleum makes you horny. Anyway, and everything else, too.
I'm sorry,
not just
pause.
Okay,
listeners, please quote her out of context and say linoleum makes you horny, because how you got to I can't even relate to that impulse.
Just be with me right now. Anyway, so yeah, Tammy had written in my yearbook, because we had this thing where she was my quote-unquote lesbian lover, because I would flirt with her, and she'd, jokingly flirt back, because she was, really into every guy ever. And it was always just funny. And so she wrote really big in my yearbook, "To my lesbian lover, I'll never forget all those times in the drill team. Yo." And, just this silly crap that, was fun for me and Tammy, but wasn't at all serious, except that Grandma found it and took it seriously. And then she knew I was gay, but by that time I was in boot camp.
Oh, I'm sorry. So,
and yeah.
This episode is giving us all the feels, so...
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm going down so many walks down memory lane. This is the episode that, really makes me think about what my high school life was like. And
Invisible Girl lives in the asbestos in the ceiling, kidnaps Cordelia while she's putting on her prom dress, which is... This is why I got into the fashion, is because this was not as brave as I was expecting Cordelia to be with a prom dress.
Well, it's not prom. It's May Queen.
Oh.
It's it's not quite prom yet. It's still early springish.
Okay. So.
Because remember, there's still an episode and prom happens at the end of the year.
That's right. I thought maybe they were, whatever. So yes, and they are both tied to the chair, and I learned a little something about the physiology of the Slayer here. Even though Buffy is super strong, it's kind of a Jessica Jones type strength where she still has the resilience of a 90-pound woman.
Yeah. She hasn't got a lot of ass behind her.
Right. Mm-hmm. So Invisible Girl manages to beat the shit out of her, tie her up, and then there's a weird kind of bonding moment where Cordelia and Buffy, Cordelia distracts what's her name, Marcie, long enough for Buffy to kind of wriggle out and escape. And
a little bit, yeah.
There's a stupid fight, and then we finally get that backlit scene of her holding her fists like that, and I knew that was coming this episode because it's in the intro, and she's wearing that light blue blouse. So
you pay way more attention to clothes than I ever have in my entire life.
I know. So yeah, and so they managed to subdue her by putting a giant curtain over her.
Yeah, some kind of cloth. I wasn't paying very much attention at that point because fight scenes are boring for me. I've
These
never
aren't-
understood why they're exciting.
Well, these fight scenes aren't exciting, but you've seen Fury Road, so...
Yeah, I have, and yeah, I wanted to play with my phone through half of it. It's
Okay.
a great movie and stuff, but car chases and fight scenes.
Shut it down. Shut it down.
We're not
Bye,
friends anymore.
listeners. We'll never see you again.
I'm gonna be Furiosa for Halloween. Is that not enough?
Okay, so the fight scene is over and the FBI shows up. And I saw these assholes hanging out there, but there was just so much crazy shit going on and so much Clea DuVall that wasn't there to pay attention to that, yeah, I kind of forgot about them. And so I did learn there was a little bit of world building in that the government is at least aware of some of the occult shit that's going on, and at least a slice of it, and is using it for their own ends. So I'm hoping this is not the end of the Cordelia, the Clea DuVall thing on this show, because I don't know. I need to know what turned her from a shy girl to a sociopath.
I think going invisible and for real not getting any kind of attention whatsoever, but then suddenly having this power over people you've never had before.
Do you think she stuck her flute in her pussy?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Well, how did you not expect me to go there? Because American Pie, like, the girl who stuck the flute in her pussy is a regular on this show, and then they can't stop talking about the flute. Where the fuck do you expect my mind to go?
I can't believe I didn't see it coming either, now that you lay it out like that, but I don't habitually think of wind instruments as sex toys, because I have for real sex toys now. So, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm failing you on so many levels this time. Okay, so point being...
I think a piccolo would be a lot easier to play with a pussy, but I don't have one, so I can't test that out.
You know, I'd have to see them in person. I've never been a musician of any kind, so...
A piccolo is like a
really...
half-size flute, so I was figuring it's...
Yeah, but what's its girth?
It's not... I was talking about playing it with your pussy, not just sticking it in there. So you
okay,
kinda, like,
so you
blow
don't have a lot of breath control in your vagina, just saying.
Okay.
It's not attached to your respiratory system in any way. So, and while lots of women have some control, there's not a lot of...
I'm starting to realize that Allison Hannigan has given me a lot of the wrong impressions about what a pussy can do. Because there's also an episode of How I Met Your Mother where she shuffles cards with her pussy. So
yeah, that's not a thing pussies do unless you're in Thailand. Yeah, it's not like a cavern that's full of air. It's more like a pup tent that only expands once it's, you know, filled with something.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not a void inside a person. It's something that can have something in it, but is collapsed until then.
Okay. So that's our episode.
Woohoo! Moving right along.
Wow, that was a lot of feeling and a lot of pussy. So
yeah. Well, you know, we've talked a lot of cock here, so I feel like pussy should get equal.
I have no problem talking about pussy. I just you all know I have no fucking clue what I'm talking about. I'm assuming.
Well, now we really know.
And then we bring on to the finale episode, and this tastes like tonal dissonance.
Okay, expand on that.
It's been so lighthearted, even the ones that are supposed to be high stakes.
Mm-hmm.
We've had kind of the one with the Anointed One, and then the first two, they were all kind of... Buffy was still very flippant about how shit went down, but now when she's hit with the prophecy that the Master is going to come and it's going to cost her life, she suddenly starts crying. Right?
Right. Well, okay, so... I get where she's coming from, though, because for the first time she sees Giles really scared for her.
Uh-huh.
And because, you know, this ancient prophecy, and I fucking hate prophecy. Okay, if you've listened to me on other podcasts, you will know this, but I'm going to say it for you new people. I fucking hate prophecy. It is such a fucking bullshit plot device, and it's cheating. It's fucking cheating. It's dumb, and I hate it. But, yeah, so she gets a seemingly, for sure prophecy. Even Giles is like, oh my god, if this book says it, it's gonna fucking happen, that she's gonna die. And seeing Giles be sure she's gonna die fucking undoes her.
I kind of get that. It's just, it's such a whiplash. I don't really feel like they laid the groundwork, so I was just like, I felt like, what fucking show am I watching?
Okay, yeah. This is the beginning of an interesting thing that does happen in shows where, the stakes are high, like in this particular episode where death seems certain and imminent.
Well, I know it's not, because there are, 6 more seasons for us to cover, so...
Well, yeah, but at the time, it was like, hey, she could die, and, then the show is over. Yeah, so... And to be fair, she does die for a little bit, but...
Yeah, and that's, I don't mind this kind of prophecy trope. I know it's a little silly, but one thing that I remember is watching an episode of Rescue Rangers back in the day, and there was a prophetess named Cassandra who told Chip he was going to be crushed to death by an elephant, right? She saw it happen. And, as they go through the episode, and everything she says that was going to happen happens. And there's a giant elephant an elephant thing at the top of a circus tent that falls off, and luckily Chip, manages to dive into a knothole. And as far as, what she said came true, but it wasn't as dire as everyone thought. So I was a little mad that the show was outdone by an episode of Rescue Rangers in that trope.
To be fair, Rescue Rangers was a kick-ass show.
I don't know if it's held up well. So
I haven't watched it since I was 10, so I don't know. I know DuckTales kind of actually holds up, and I haven't seen TaleSpin, but I know you have. Does TaleSpin hold up?
No.
Oh.
There's some gems in there, but most of it's shit.
Oh yeah.
The origin story episode arc is it was 4 episodes long, was really good.
Yes, it was so epic.
And anything with Don Carnage is amazing, but
because he's a great character.
The rest of the filler is just a little too silly to be taken seriously. So,
okay.
Yeah, it doesn't hold up.
Disney Afternoon had some shining moments, but yeah, it was kids' TV.
The Hercules show, really does work.
I never saw any of the Hercules show, but I did see some of the Lilo and Stitch show, and that's really good. They were writing that partially for adults, and you can tell.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So, anyway, back to Buffy.
Another show for children.
we started in the middle, where we start in this show, in the beginning, is Xander practicing lines with Willow to try and ask out, confess his love and ask her to the dance. And Willow is such a fucking sport about this. She is just like, I'm on board for my friend. Even though I harbor these feelings for him and he doesn't for me, I have accepted it and grown as a person, and I'm going to be there for my friend. And she is just so menschy and grown up in this, and I just fucking fall in love with her every time.
I'm not buying it.
You're not?
I'm really not, and here's why. And I get that sentiment and what they're trying to go for, but I never really buy that I don't buy that Willow has a giant crush on Xander. I don't either. Allison Hannigan doesn't believe it either, or she's just not selling it well, which is something. But she is at the top of her game when she's in comedy mode, so maybe that's just not something she's good at. And anyway, we've had a little bit of it, but it's I don't know. There's just so little to hold on to with Willow that this tiny little detail of her having a crush on Xander, it feels lazy. You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah. Well, okay. I've gone on record with before, in those years where we have so little attention from, the opposite sex, the little that we get seems really important. And, we covet what we see. And if you're seeing Xander every day, then, and he's your bestie and all this stuff, then, I can see that. I've absolutely fallen for people who were, my best friend, quote unquote, and I just wanted them to be around and to want me and to hold me and to touch me. And, I got over it once I realized that, that was not what they wanted. And I grew as a person. But, there were a couple, sleepless nights where it's like, why don't they love me? I have these feelings. Why don't they have them too? And they kind of, when you're trying to hide them because you don't want to ruin the friendship, that's kind of what they look like. Hopeful, but really, squashed down and subdued.
Okay.
Xander has none of this subtlety because he's an idiot.
And also they're at the Bronze because we built the set for the Bronze and we have to have at least one more scene there before we get canceled. So.
Yeah, we do.
But Buffy is out fighting, and apparently what she does is she hunts. She just basically goes around after dark and kills vampires.
Well, okay, so what she does is she goes to the graveyard and looks for fresh graves. She's probably, trolling the obituaries, too. But she looks for fresh graves, and anything that pops out of it, she's going to put a piece of wood in. That seems legit. It seems like an excellent way to get fresh vampires off the map before they have time to form a nest or some shit.
Okay. And my biggest disappointment for this episode, because as she's flying through the air, I don't know if it was just bad lighting, but her pants looked purple. And we didn't get another good shot of her in daylight wearing that outfit because I really wanted to read this bitch. But all I get is maybe purple pants. So...
We have got to get you a hobby. You have got to stop looking at fashion like this.
And Cordelia is making out with her boyfriend and is this Mitch or is this a new guy?
Who's to say?
All of these white guys look alike, so.
I know
It could have been fucking Giles and I would have noticed because all this.
I know Cordelia is, okay, it's no longer Mitch, it's this guy Kevin.
Okay.
And he blows her off for something and that he's supposed to be at, and she thinks it's cute, and she's wondering if this means she actually has feelings for someone other than herself. And thank goodness we never find out the answer to that because he's, horrifically murdered.
Well, there's something I kind of picked up on now in retrospect when she says, "What was that noise?" and she's looking outside. The way I interpret it is that she saw Buffy killing the vampire, and that's why when the vampires start rolling up on the school, she's on hand to provide a getaway car because she's like, okay, shit's going down, I'm going to go find Buffy and see if I can help out.
It's entirely possible. It might be that Cordelia is just terrible with the directions, because that's a thing, too.
And timing, because her hair was not done. She was not wearing her prom dress, but that's side point. We haven't got there yet, so.
Okay, so when she was getting ready for her spring fling coronation, she, had a gaggle of her army of hoes at the high school to get her ready. So they might have been, all going to the locker room or wherever the fuck it is they get ready so they could get ready en masse or something. But there were no other hoes, so it might just be her, with her car. Who's to say? I'm speculating way too much about Cordelia's getting ready for prom outfit habits. Anyway, I may have been drinking tequila. I'm sorry, guys.
Well, it's a... All right, so the episode goes down like this. There's more vampires that she's killing. So I'm assuming these are people that are being turned within the town?
They're either being turned or, all the vampires in the tri-state area are showing up for, party night.
Okay, you say that tri-state area like they're in the tri-state area. They're in SoCal.
They are in SoCal, but we've still got Arizona and Nevada within driving distance.
Is that a tri-state area? Because I thought tri-state area was New York, Connecticut, New Jersey.
It is, but I really like the phrase. God damn it.
Okay.
So there's every vampire in the Tri-County area then. We've got San Bernardino, San Diego, L.A., Orange County. Okay, that's a quad county area. God damn it. And probably into Ventura. That's 5. We've got a penta county. Did I just lose you?
Nope, I was just letting you go. So.
Oh, thank you.
I was just letting you finish. Now, so
probably from the Inland Empire too. I mean, we could have like everything. San Bernardino counts as inland. Okay.
And there's an earthquake. Which takes us a sign of the apocalypse. In inland SoCal, where earthquakes are like...
Right?
You're probably having an earthquake right now, but you thought you just had gas, right?
Yeah, they are pretty common. Like,
How did you describe feeling an earthquake? Because it's my favorite description ever.
Oh God, I can't even remember now what you thought was so tittillating.
It's when you feel the cat jump on the bed and then you realize you don't have a cat.
Yes, that's pretty much it. Yeah, yeah. When it's like, yeah, kitty, stop bugging me. Oh, it's still going. Oh, I don't have a cat. Yeah.
It's not even an annoyance. It's just this is what we're doing. So that's why in California nobody mounts anything on the walls.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, you can now. We have better mounting technology, but yeah, you don't put anything under the things that you've mounted. Yeah, like, well, there's actually a horrible story associated with that, but I'll tell you some other time because it's sad. But yeah, you don't put things that are important to you under heavy objects that are mounted on walls because earthquakes are a thing and stuff falls off walls. I was here during Northridge, which was back in 92? Yeah, it was about 12. Yeah, and it was rocking and rolling. It was like the biggest thing that had hit us in probably, I want to say 100 years, but I'm not a seismologist, so who's to say? Stuff fell down. Houses fell down.
Stuff fell down. You heard it here first. Stuff fell down.
But yeah, like it was scary. And the thing people don't realize about earthquakes is that you think the earth is shaking side to side, like if you took a box of sand and decided to neaten it up. But no, earthquakes go up and down. So you're not shaking side to side. You're like on a wave almost. You're going up and down, and the rocks in your ears are like, what the fuck? And your eyes don't know what to do. But they are so common that we're just like, okay, I'll stand still for a minute. This is really inconvenient. I was going to Starbucks. I hope nothing's fallen down in Starbucks. And that's what you got.
Okay. And so everyone scrambles, like, Willow and Xander hide under the metal staircase that the bronze has. Giles manages to make it with his lady love to a door frame, which, like, I'm told that was good advice in the 50s when door frames were, like, made of metal and shit, but now they're flimsy pieces of shit and you shouldn't stand there.
Yes, but this is true, but all of the information that we had up until around the year 2010 said that the door frame was the most structurally sound place in your house. Basically, it's like duck and cover in those things they used to play in school. If an atom bomb happens, duck under your desk and cover your head because, that'll help you from the, blast that's going to vaporize every atom in your body. It's the theater of safety. It's right. What you do to feel safer. They are also advertising now this triangle of safety where you'll like prop something wood up against something that's solid, and the triangle will protect you from your falling house. It's bullshit. It's
That
meant
sounds
to
like
make
some
you...
Illuminati bullshit right there.
Yes, it is.
Let's
But
spin some conspiracy theories. So I think we kind of need to get off the earthquake talk
thing.
because.
But yeah, they were doing that to feel safe. But yeah, they were not actually safer.
So there's a bunch of apocalyptic things, and Giles needs to dig in his books because Giles is Mr. Exposition, and this is what he does at this point. But he doesn't have the books he needs, so he gets a visit from who else?
Miss Calendar.
Well, I was going to say Angel.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
And he has to kind of bring Miss Calendar up to speed. And I'm surprised she takes this much convincing.
Well, she sees the portents, but she hasn't got the books. She only has the internet. And the internet at that time did not have the sum total of human knowledge that it does now.
It had a lot of Comic Sans.
Yeah, it did. Oh, man. And the birth of papyrus.
Yes.
Yes.
So the prophecy says that the Master is going to break out of his blood hole. I don't know what else to call it because he came out of that hole in the ground that looks like it's filled with blood.
Okay.
And
it
that's
was a collapsed church, but okay.
But the pool that he came out of is filled with a liquid.
Yeah.
So
keep going.
Once he does that, the Hellmouth is going to open, and these giant penises with tiny, smaller, skinnier snake penises are going to come along with it and destroy the town, and the demons will come out, and the world will end. So, and part of that prophecy is that Buffy will die.
Yes.
So Buffy hears Angel talking about it and has her little freak out that we talked about earlier, and she's
and she quits.
I was a little angry that the eye makeup was underdone this time, and then I realized it's because she's going to spend 40% of the show crying.
Yeah.
So she goes home and has a sad with her mom, and she says, "Hey, let's get out of town." And Mom says, "I have to fucking work. What is wrong with you?" "Oh, but I bought you a dress." So.
How did you feel about this touching moment with her mom?
I don't know. The fact that there are 6 seasons, I could not take it seriously. And I tried to put myself into, this is a really cheesy show that got picked up mid-season, probably isn't getting another one. But I could not unring that bell. So I didn't feel that the stakes were particularly high, and I was never really worried, you know?
Yeah, but could you see how in the moment for a 16-year-old girl being told that you're going to die tonight, the stakes were maybe high for Buffy's character?
Intellectually, yes, but I just didn't buy it.
You didn't feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it wasn't particularly well done, but again, first season Buffy.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
But then comes the dress. So.
Yes. And that's actually what I was referring to.
How did I feel about the dress?
How did you feel about Joyce spending more than she can spend reasonably right now to get her little girl a really good dress for the dance?
I'm fine with it, I guess. I don't feel that Buffy is someone who would be that taken with a dress. And maybe it's just I don't.
So this is how I read this moment, because I really like this scene. So Joyce comments several times about how little Buffy ate at dinner and how little she's eating in general lately. And even though we rag on Joyce for not, being a really good parent for a convicted arsonist, she really, I feel like this really shows how much she is concerned about her daughter and how much she cares for Buffy and really wants to do something to just get her out of this, whatever she knows something fucked up is going on with her daughter, and that Buffy is really upset a lot of the time, and she doesn't know why, and she thinks, hey, look, something frivolous and fun I can do for my kid that is gonna maybe snap her out of this, or at least give her a happy moment. Just one happy moment that I could see my daughter smile. I am willing to put myself in a little bit of debt for that, so that for just 10 minutes we can be like we were before all this bullshit happened, and she can be the kid that I remember who smiled sometimes. And that really got to me, because I've seen parents do that. And it was kind of heartbreaking for me, because seeing the relationship that Joyce is trying to have with her daughter, who doesn't tell her anything anymore, because how do you tell your mom, I'm a vampire hunter who's putting my life in danger every night. Please don't worry, Mom.
And you say, I'm a vampire hunter who puts my life in danger every night. Please don't worry, Mom. We are human beings with language. I get.
Yeah, but right now, Mom's only worried about like drugs and the bad element and maybe sex. Telling her, by the way, you have to be worried about my. Joyce would scoop her up out of that town and move to like Cleveland or something just as fast as possible.
Now, Cleveland is the fucking hellmouth. And I've only ever had a layover in Cleveland, but my growler fucking blew up because they are hurting out there.
They're hurting for something.
Yes.
And it might be your cock.
It might be. But they couldn't see it. Like, they were that desperate. They were like, oh my God, someone's been here and they're within 200 miles. Please. It's a little depressing. So, wow. Why did you have to bring Cleveland into it?
Okay.
And you haven't asked me how I felt about the dress itself.
How did you feel about the dress itself?
It's the worst answer I can give you. I nothing it. It's just, man. It's a garment.
Have a nice summer.
It's just, I remember that soft ivory being in around that time. It's just, it's not adventurous. It's not particularly glamorous. You know?
I thought of it as formal nighty.
That's actually a perfect way of describing it. It doesn't.
Every once in a while, I can girl.
It doesn't have the balls to give it like more poofy, more bustle at the bottom to make it kind of stick out more and take up a little more space. And
at least it wasn't spaghetti strapped.
It wasn't spaghetti strapped, but it was like conservative too. And I'm like, it was conservative without being super glamorous, and so I'm like, and this is why I keep calling this place Rancho Cucamonga, because it's like, yes, this is the level of fashion we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's good enough. It's good enough to stand out in a small population who can't make it to San Bernardino or LA. Or Long Beach for the night, you know?
Oh, Long Beach. For all the fuss made about the dress, I at least expected black velvet on some of it. But no, they made it a nice virginal white because she's human sacrifice.
Angel is wearing all the black velvet in the goddamn town.
Was it velvet? I didn't even see.
It was, and he was rocking it. And I was like, okay. That is a use of velvet that I can get behind, because it's generic white man walking around like an underwear model, and I'm like, okay, you can have the cheap black velvet. Just keep it off Buffy's butt. So
yeah, and back then David Boreanaz had the body to pull it off.
Right. Does he not anymore?
Oh, honey. So there's. When Angel becomes a spin-off series, and you know that happens, as it was happening, there were a lot of jokes on the internet about how they stopped having topless moments with Angel because he got fat, and he started having a lot of structured jackets that he was wearing all the time, and it was because, he had a pooch, and it was very, there was a time when David Boreanaz definitely was a chubby little vampire.
I would watch the fuck out of a chubby little vampire hero show.
And you may get the chance.
I am. I don't know. I don't know why they insist there's only two body types in the world, and there's Buffy, and then there's Cordelia, and then there's Angel now.
Yeah. Well,
sorry,
okay,
it's one of my little bugbears that they, especially for shows like this that are a lot of action. Like, you could do a little slice of life with fat characters, or with super skinny characters, or with characters who are handy capable, but you can't do something like super involved, right? And it drives me fucking insane.
I cannot wait to hear your commentary as we move forward. Anyway, so back to my point. Yeah, Dave Boreanaz is not always as chiseled as he is in the first season. I will defend the show in a little bit. When you're trying to appeal to teenage girls, there's a very small window for what is going to knock it out of the park, and chiseled is kind of it. Because we're vain, shallow creatures age 13 to 17.
Okay. But Buffy puts on her prom dress, but she doesn't go to the prom. She goes to...
She goes to the master.
Yeah, well, yeah, she goes to the master, and she finds the Anointed One. I was so disappointed that she didn't stake this kid, because I really don't want to see this kid come back having growth spurted and, just...
Not looking like that anymore.
Exactly, and it's, I don't know, maybe if the show kind of moves at the same speed as time, but then the kid's a vampire, so...
Mm-hmm. He's not supposed to grow. He's supposed to be that.
Yeah, that was one of my biggest criticisms of Lost, was like I saw it coming right away, and you have a 13-year-old kid playing a 10-year-old kid, and you're going to one season was I think it was a month on the island.
Mm-hmm. Puberty just hit like a freight train.
I can't tell you whether it was a problem or not, because that will spoil Lost, and someone very special to us is going to start a Lost podcast soon, but I can't tell you who or what, and it's not Natasha, because Natasha would probably vomit.
Has Natasha seen Lost?
Yes.
Okay. Am I the only person on the planet who has yet to see Lost?
No. There is another.
There is another.
It may or may not be an unspoiled podcast, but there is definitely going to be a Lost podcast with one person who has seen it and one person who has not. So, I will.
Fascinating.
I will shut the fuck up. Just I don't know if you're going to do it, but I would like you to watch it, and
I will watch it as this podcast happens.
Exactly. That's right. That's why I'm shutting.
And then I can pinch hit if need be.
Exactly.
Okay, but in order to get us off this train that is going to a scary place, I want to talk just before we go into the showdown. What did you think about Willow's breakdown in this? When her entire AV squad gets murdered horribly. And she talks about how before it was just, people she kind of knew, but these are people she really knew, that in a place that she went to every day, and that she felt violated, and that the people that did it, the vampires that did it, had fun. And she really, really breaks it down why it's personal this time.
There was one niggling thing that really bothered me about this, and that's the fact that we've never seen any of these people, and Willow has never hung out with them in front of us, and we don't know their names or anything.
Okay. So it still doesn't have any kind of ramifications for you as a viewer because you didn't know them, and seeing Willow's private pain about it isn't enough to make it it's big stakes for you. Is that what you're saying?
Intellectually, I get why the stakes are going up, but I'm not emotionally invested in Willow enough. I haven't seen her hanging out with these AV Club people. before, and all I get is a line saying these were my friends, right?
Okay. That's entirely valid, and this is a kind of a breakdown that I'm making you go through of why the first season doesn't work.
Yeah.
So don't think I'm trying to gotcha you. I'm actually just making you demonstrate why I have problems with this.
Well, like I said, I think the praying mantis episode worked. I think the witch episode worked. I think I think fucking Moloch worked because it was
it was pretty fun. I loved that one.
It was stupid, but it knew it was stupid. You know, it wasn't trying to be high art. It was trying to be fun. Mm-hmm. So
it's true.
And I don't want everyone to think that I was really fucking down on these episodes, because I legitimately had a good time watching them. I wasn't invested in them, you know?
Yes, and that is, in a nutshell, what is wrong with the first season. Mm-hmm. Now that we are here at the very end of it and we're about to talk about the showdown, that is I've wanted to talk about it with you for so long, and I'm so happy that I finally can. That is the problem with the first season. We're just not invested in these characters. And yeah, we're having a good time with some of these episodes, and those are the ones that kind of nail it with what the show can be if they could just bring the characters to a point where we actually give a fuck about them. Because, like, poor Buffy, she's having this existential crisis. Not even existential. She's having this crisis where there's someone who wants to... She's supposed to die, and we're supposed to care, and we can't because we haven't been given enough.
Right.
And, like, we're supposed to care that Willow is heartbroken, and we can't because we haven't been given enough. We're supposed to care that Xander's being angsty about being friend-zoned, as... you know, he would probably say at this point because he doesn't know that that's such a douchey thing.
I don't think they'd invented the word friend zone back then.
Okay, probably not.
The douche muffins had not congealed on the internet yet. I don't think Reddit was a thing.
And just to go over to that for a second, I thought it was super powerful when Willow's like, why do you think going to dance with you while you watch her would be fun for me? And just kind of breaking down for Xander that, you know, okay, I get that you're feeling rejected and hurt, but you said the thing, you know.
That is where I'm starting to see Joss Whedon's talent peek through. Because that actually was a legitimately poignant moment, even if the structure to support it is shaky at best.
Right. And I actually really thought that the scene where Xander asks Buffy to the dance and she says no was really important for an entire generation of young people at the time because, yes, she rejects him and she does it in the kindest way she can, but what she's saying is, I'm sorry I'm not attracted to you. Mm-hmm. And I need you to accept that, and we can still be friends, and that doesn't lessen our friendship, but I'm just not attracted to you, and I can't make that happen. He asks her, she tries not to say that. She tries to say, I think it'll hurt our friendship, and he's like, either you feel something or you don't, and she's like, I don't. And I want every MRA in the fucking world to fucking see that. And it's like either you feel something or you don't. And if they don't, you have to let it go.
I wanted the other side of that too. Like the kind of Dan Savage side where it says, but I have enough friends. So, bye.
Okay. Yeah.
And that is a legitimate way for this to go. And that there's nothing wrong with that, but for him to explicitly say, like, I can't be your friend. My crush is too strong on you. I can't do anything but think about being with you, so we can't be friends. So that sucks. And she'd say, like, you know what, that does suck, but that's how things are. And walk away. You know, give the boys of the world a template for being rejected. And that's.
We hadn't evolved to that point yet.
I think if anyone would, this is the first step, is giving the woman's side of it, but also giving the men a self-righteous speech where they could walk the hell away, and it gets the women exactly what they want, which is to get the fuck away from this guy. It's, win-win.
I enjoy your personality and the time we spend together, but I don't want your dick. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. And like giving you, so the thing I hear most often from guys that want to be with me when I tell them I can't be with you because I don't feel it is give me a chance. And it's like,
why?
What do you think is going to change? Do you think some switch is going to flip and I will suddenly be attracted to you and want your penis? I'm sorry, it's either there or it isn't. It's not.
Well, it's also the pressure on women to put their feelings aside for men's feelings. Like, give him a chance. Like, what? So I don't have feelings for him, and I'm supposed to ignore that because he has feelings for me. So it's just it's stupid. So, and I kind of want to move on from this because we haven't gotten to like all the crazy ass shit that goes down here.
Okay, but I really did want to touch on that because I thought it was an important thing that Joss was trying to open the door to say, and that the idea that the Ducky of a show that's not valid. The idea that someone likes you and that's important for your feelings. Yes, I mean, you should definitely acknowledge it, but that doesn't mean that it should dictate what you do with yourself and your body. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was really good that he addressed that.
I agree. So, Buffy is confronting the Master with a crossbow, which she really needs to learn that she's not good with that crossbow.
Not only that, but a crossbow is a one-shot. Reloading a crossbow is a fucking bitch and a half.
I know.
You've got one trigger pull, and that's it. And if you don't get it, you're fucked. So that's an assassin's weapon.
Do you remember that scene in Season 2 of Game of Thrones?
That could be anything.
All right, spoiler warning for Season 2 of Game of Thrones, which has been covered by the show and as covered with the books, so you kind of have no excuse here. But I'm giving you guys a warning anyway, so cover your ears for about 30 seconds. When right before Yoren gets killed, like they shoot him with a crossbow because he won't give up Gendry, and so he says, after he's been shot in the fucking chest, he says, "This is why I hate crossbows. They take," he pulls out his sword, "too long," and stabs the guy in the chest to reload.
And it's true.
Yes.
They're a bitch. Really, she should just get a bow and arrow because that you can just like bam, 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 bam.
Well,
Why isn't she doing archery? Come to think of it, Giles, that is a serious gap in her training. Why does she not have a bow and arrow all the goddamn time?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, and I have to point out that this is supposed to be Angel's leather jacket that she's wearing over her.
And it's teeny tiny.
Yeah, and it's clearly cut for a woman and looks like a goddamn garbage bag.
Yes, but it's got lots of pockets.
Pockets are paramount.
Yes.
So
pockets are a men's clothing thing. Women's clothing doesn't have pockets, which is why I don't wear women's clothing.
But we don't use pockets anymore because now men have bags too. So.
Not all men have bags. Most of my cousins and brothers and things just put things in their pockets still.
Really?
Yep.
Well, clearly they've never, carried a Kindle and an iPad and a phone charger and...
You're assuming they read.
Ow. Ow. Family Burn with Bitches. That's our new show, guys.
Family Burn with Bitches. I am the reader in the family. Seriously, guys.
I know, because you just read those bitches.
Excellent. Very well done. Thank you.
That was like a double pun there. I am so fucking proud of myself.
You owe yourself $2.
I do. The Master feeds on Buffy.
Yes. And he tells her as he's about to feed on her, "If you had not come, I could not be free."
Right. So that's what he needs to leave the church, is to have tasted her blood. He throws her in the fucking pool, but luckily Xander and Angel have made it in and managed to revive her using good old-fashioned CPR.
Yeah, prophecies apparently don't know about basic first aid.
And
So
this is where you were outdone by the Rescue Rangers, goddammit. But so Buffy's hair is fucked up. Luckily,
yeah,
her leather jacket didn't get wet. He was nice enough to take it off of her first.
well, he's a gentleman.
No, he's really not. He has an asshole nose. So
He pretends he's a gentleman. Like so many. Anyway, let's move on.
So the church is beneath the school. Is that what I'm getting out of this?
Kinda, sorta. So the thing you're supposed to get from this is they're all like trying to speculate on where the Hellmouth is, and they're like, oh my god, the bronze! Oh my god, the thing! Oh my god, over there! And really, they've been sitting on top of the fucking thing the entire goddamn time.
Mm-hmm. So, meanwhile, Willow and Miss Calendar and Giles they're not doing anything interesting. Like, they're talking in the library, and then suddenly, for some reason, they just...
The hentai beast.
Well, the hentai beast hasn't come yet, but...
Okay.
Haha, the hentai beast. So Miss Calendar and Willow decide to go out, and but suddenly the vampires are rolling up on them, and here's fucking Cordelia and her little heroic moment. And I was so like, I don't know. I feel like I'm in an abusive relationship with Cordelia because like she gives me just enough to stay interested, but also enough shit that I hate her,
Yes.
and not hate her as a bad person, but just hate how she's written.
Okay, that's fair.
And want to write her off. But this was actually a pretty badass moment. But then during the blockade, she starts screaming and yelling for help when, everyone else is getting eaten by the giant penises. So.
Well, it leaves room for character growth.
I really hope so. So yeah, that's what's going on, and Willow gets caught by one of the smaller penis tentacles, and the penis monster is trying to eat her, and Miss Calendar's holding her down. Meanwhile, Buffy has the showdown with the Master, and God, am I glad the Master is dead.
Yeah.
I just could not take him seriously as a villain, and I'm so glad they decided to do away with him. So. Yeah, and I think that's kind of all I have to say about all this. Was there any other points you wanted to bring up?
No, I've pretty much covered it all. That's why I kept digressing, because I wanted to cover it all before you got to the point where Buffy just takes control. It's like, okay, you already killed me, so I'm okay now, and I'm gonna throw you through a skylight and impale you on something, because fuck you. She had a really good one-liner, but I forget what it is. And yeah, it's just, end of first season. And how did you feel about how they walked away? Just hey, I saved the world. I say we party.
That was fine. What I was really paying attention to was who was there.
Okay.
So it's the fact that Miss Calendar and Angel, neither of them really do a whole lot here, but they are here as part of the crew. And the fact that Cordelia's there suggests to me that the posse has gotten a little wider. So I'm thinking some of these smaller these smaller characters are going to step up, and I think Cordelia might be part of the circle. And I'm kind of afraid to speculate on what are the ramifications of the Master being dead. Is someone else going to try to take that place, or do the vampires have more free will than they used to? That I just don't know.
This leads us into a wonderful place where you make predictions.
Well, I can't really make any predictions. Everything is so self-contained. The only thing, I've made my predictions about where the characters are going to go.
Okay.
Where the good guys are going to go. But the vampires, I'm like, does this mean we're going to get factions and vampires doing their own thing? I can understand. Maybe they won't be like Angel and turn good, but they'll still have no conscience.
They still have no soul. I mean,
right, but they're also
vampires.
They're not being controlled by totally underwhelming Master. So I'd like to see that, where the vampires are not one monolithic entity. Make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah.
But other than that, like, I don't really. I mean, they've left some clues. I think Clea DuVall is definitely coming back at some point. I think there's going to be another praying mantis. I think the witch mom might be freed at some point, and we're going to have like a conference of bad guys or something. So
I cannot wait for us to go forward and you to see how things play out.
yeah, I'm kind of excited too because everyone's been saying hold on till season 2, hold on till season 2. Like
And
season 1 is terrible, and
again, I'm going to prep you. There is some, major bullshit in season 2. But
well, there was major bullshit in season 1 of Alias, but on the whole, it was more positive than negative. So
okay. But yeah, there will be more. More of the things you like, fewer of the things that you have railed against.
okay,
I will say that.
that doesn't include the fashion because I kind of like railing against the fashion.
The fashion will continue to be late 90s fashion.
Okay. I like that.
And
Well, like I said, like
that's-
Buffy has really toned it down and played it safe lately, which is just not exciting for a bitchy old queen like me. So,
oh, honey, you're not old yet. You're like a bitchy middle-aged queen.
oh, shut up.
I'm a terrible friend.
All right.
I love you.
Plug your shit, woman.
So if around Thanksgiving you're in LA and need something to do that weekend once you have paid your dues to your family, please come out to LosCon. That's LOSCON.org at the LAX Marriott and hang out with some freaking nerds who know all of this shit about Buffy and would be happy to discuss her fashion with you. Because plenty of us are gay. Not all, but plenty. And yeah, it's a hell of a good time. Come on out. Tag
All
her.
right. So if you've enjoyed us being total, I'm going to go ahead and say it. We've been total cunts these 2 episodes. You
I
can
had a good
support
time,
us.
though.
I did too, and I hope you guys are too, because we love our listeners, even though you're very quiet. So
I hurt you.
if you want to help us out, there's a lot of ways you can do that. You can do the simple way. If you don't have any money, you can go on iTunes and leave us a review. I know you Android people. I actually made an iTunes account so that I could review some other shows. It's a pain in the ass, so it's super appreciated, and we will do a dramatic reading of your review on the air.
So dramatic.
If you have money, just none to spare, you can go to unspoiledpodcast.com/Amazon, and what that'll do is that'll take you to Amazon, and you just buy your shit on Amazon like you were gonna anyway. And that will take money out of Jeff Bezos' pocket and put it in the unspoiled coffers so that we can afford microphone socks and computers from the mid-aughts that are still capable of running Skype for some reason. So
I just made a purchase of 5 microphone socks, and because apparently my S's are slurry and my T's are too hard or some shit like that, and it's for you people because I love you so much. And
we love you.
I want to give you quality T's and S's. That's
Yes,
all I got.
we very much do. And if you have money to spare and you enjoy what we're doing, you want to see more of it, you can go to patreon.com/unspoiled and you can become a patron. So we've been talking a lot, and you've been hearing a lot of the Bitches and Money show, but we are one small slice of the Unspoiled umbrella. And if you like this concept of one person being cagey and the other having no idea what's coming and speculating in very irresponsible ways, you can get a lot of that. You got your Harry Potter, you got your Justified, you've got your Dark Tower, got the Leftovers, and Natasha's theories on the Leftovers are delicious.
I can't wait to start that one. Oh.
Yeah. And for being a patron, you get access to a whole bunch of cool stuff. You get access to the Unspoiled Patrons Only Facebook group. I know Facebook's a little passé, but we are currently playing Harry Potter Cards Against Humanity right the fuck now, and it is...
Oh my god, it's so fun.
Do not blurt it out, because this is all stuff for the show later.
I'm not saying anything. I'm going to tell you, I looked at this game that we're playing while at work, and I couldn't say anything because I was at work and they might be monitoring me, but I really, really want to play this game, and I think I might do it as soon as we're done podcasting. It's so cool.
And you get access to patrons-only content. You get all of your stuff a day early. Now, because we are unscrupled and we don't give any fucks, I'm actually known for giving you this podcast a week early, so...
Yes, much to my own chagrin. Thank you very much.
Why?
Oh, because I'm just like, I recorded that yesterday. How is it up? My words need time to age.
Yes.
I need to get over my shame before you can air that publicly.
All right. So you get access to everything early, and you get access to the live casts of shows, and you get access to the patrons-only podcast. So we finished a couple of weeks ago while I was in Oslo. Me and Natasha finished The Walking Dead graphic novels, Compendium 3, which is The Walking Dead that doesn't suck. And currently she is covering with Maggie Luke Cage, which I can't even like hear the name without getting a chubby, you know?
Yeah.
I'm already at half-mast. So.
Oh man, I'm keeping myself from saying anything terrible to you right now. Okay. Anyway, keep going.
And after that is going to be Twin Peaks. And the fact that Natasha has never seen the David Lynch bullshit that is Twin Peaks, and having her color commentary on what she thinks is going to happen in this show is just, I swear to God, it's worth the patronage. So, become a goddamn patron, all right?
I cannot wait to watch Twin Peaks while Natasha watches Twin Peaks, because I am completely unspoiled on it too, and it's going to be an adventure.
There are lots of adventures to be had. So, that is our show, everyone.
Hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for Season 2 coming next week.
All right. Goodbye, bitches.
Goodbye, money.
Bye.
Goodbye.